Welcome inside the vaults for your 1 o'clock, 1:15 live stream coming off of Derrick Henry's contract extension. I am Sarah Ellison, and as you can see, it's Solo Sarah Day. You guys may have been following Bobby on social media over the weekend where he was celebrating the massive college graduation for his brother. Congratulations, John. And Bobby texted me this morning and said that his father, Mr. Francis, came in super under the weather, and now it is spreading. It is spreading, and it has caught Bobby Trossett. And so he is down for the count today, but not all the way, because Bobby is alive. He has been on the back end with me trying to get together, trying to quickly put this live stream ended with Derrick Henry and his contract extension, maybe around 12:30, 12:35. So he's been sick, but gathering audio for me. I've been tweeting it, trying to get the written side of it. And so now we are live. We are ready to go. And boy, oh boy, Derrick Henry. It's interesting because he just signed a historic contract extension because he got the most money, the biggest NFL deal for a running back over the age of 30, which is appropriate because he just gained the most yards of any running back in NFL history in a single season. And so Derrick Henry, correct me if I'm wrong, tell me what you guys think. It's funny because he seemed more upset about the way the season ended than he seemed happy about this historic money. So we'll get into his presser that he just finished, what he was feeling, what it's like, why he wanted to return and do an extension with the Ravens through 2027, what it's like to play with Lamar Jackson. He got real. He got real when asked, did Lamar Jackson help you accomplish everything that you did last season? Remember, Derrick Henry had his career most yards per carry last year. Does he give some credit to Lamar Jackson? And then he talked about moving forward, what he's looking to do. And, he was asked the question, how do you feel about getting the Buffalo Bills in week 1? So we've got all that from Derrick Henry. Now, beyond that, the Ravens signed a new defensive tackle over the weekend, a run stuffer to help replace Michael Pierce. We'll talk about John Jenkins later on. And then also, Lamar returned to his old stomping grounds over the weekend, went back to Boynton Beach Tigers, the high school team that he played for, and was there to talk to them at halftime during one of their spring games. There was some quarterback market news over the weekend. Brock Purdy signed his new deal. Where does that leave Lamar in terms of how much money he makes per year in the rankings among all NFL quarterbacks, and what does that mean for him going forward? And then a ton of quick hits. So we've got so much to get to. I want to again thank Bobby for helping me get this prepared. And I hope that he rests up. His voice is gone. I talked to him this morning. It's no good. It's no good. So that's why he's up helping on the back end. But he said his words that it would just be a terrible listen for all of you. So he's trying to spare all of you guys, with the stuffy nose and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into this press conference. Derrick Henry, first of all, here's the background to him signing this morning. He flew in from Texas yesterday, where he lives and resides during the offseason, had some flight issues. So he doesn't end up landing until about 4:30 a.m. And his plan was like, I'm going to be heading into the facility, the Ravens facility. He wanted to get a workout in before signing his contract, before the press conference at noon. He gets in at 4:30 and he's like, I can't go to sleep. I'm just going to stay up. And then I'll go to the facility and work out. So he got about 30 minutes of sleep. But don't let that fool you. That's not why he was low-key. He's always low-key in his press conferences. He's always like, he's just the most consistent, even-kill guy ever. Wins, losses, historic contract, doesn't matter. Derrick Henry is just even-kill at all times. But he does come in on a lack of sleep, does get in his workout. First question off the top, how does it feel? He gives all glory to God. Appreciates the Bishottis, gives them a shout out, Eric DaCosta, everybody else. And they asked him, well, why'd you return? Why'd you return to the Ravens? Obviously, he already was under contract for one more year, but why does he make this contract deal? Well, he explains it. He says everything about the Ravens he loves from the moment he stepped on
I
campus.
think just embarking on a new journey. I was in Tennessee for 8 years, so coming here, everything was new, and all I wanted to do is gain my respect from my teammates and everybody in this organization by the way I work and carry myself. And over time, as I got here, I just fell in love with everything, with the brotherhood, by the way they work, how they approach everything, and then getting to the season, it's like icing on the cake. I know we came up short, but it was a lot of fun, and we have a lot of great players, a lot of top players in this league, playmakers. So it's always fun when you got guys around you that are at the top of their position and can change the game at any point.
Yeah, so he said he fell in love with everything. With everything. And it is hard not to this offense is something else. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Then you got Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell behind them. You got Zay Flowers. You got a top, probably the best tight end room. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, and Rashad Bateman. And now you added DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, he kept saying how fun it is to be in Baltimore. It's almost like, why wouldn't he return? The Ravens are already known for treating their players well, especially veterans treated well in Baltimore. Likes the work ethic, all of that. And it just all makes sense. I've said a million times, like Derrick Henry in purple, it's almost like he was born to be a Raven. I'm sure Tennessee Titans fans are like, hey, watch out. We drafted him. He was with us for 8 years, but listen, it just is a perfect match. And so he's happy about coming back. But believe you me, most of the press conference was talking about how unhappy he is with himself and how things ended, which is crazy because he just had a career season in terms of yards per carry. But all he could focus on wasn't the money, wasn't the contract. It was not happy with the way things ended last year.
I'm just very grateful for this organization. Just like last year, coming off the season I had, I wasn't really happy, and I wanted to prove myself and just get an opportunity, and they gave me that opportunity, and I'm very appreciative of how much they value me to give me an extension, and I just want to show them how much it means to me and how much this organization means to me by the way I work and what I do on the field.
It's funny to me because he said that he was excited to have this contract because he wanted to prove himself. The king, Derrick Henry. This is how you become great. You never get too full of yourself. Never. Career year, doesn't matter. The contract to him symbolized that he gets another opportunity to prove himself. We're going to talk in a second where he ranks among all running backs all time. He wants to prove himself. Derrick Henry knows the work is never finished. And he kept talking about him personally. This is where maybe some humility is coming in because he kept talking about how he was unhappy with the way he played in the last game. I'm sure that's just because he's pointing his own finger at himself. But it's not like he had a bad, terrible game in Buffalo. Other players did. But it also wasn't what he did in the first playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he finished with 186 rushing yards. Steelers did not know what to do with him. Did not know how to stop him. He had 186 yards and 2 touchdowns, a 7.2 yard per carry average. That dipped in the second playoff game against Buffalo. 16 attempts for 84 yards. That's a respectable 5.3 yards per attempt. 1 touchdown. But he's not happy, and I love that about him. He's hungry. He is hungry. That's all I kept getting from this press conference. This man is motivated, and he's hungry. He talked about how they asked him, how long did it take from after that loss? Did you start working out again? He was like, about a week. He couldn't take it. He said he went home. His mom was going crazy, maybe driving him crazy a little bit. I'm a mom. I know moms can drive their kids crazy. I have a mom. I know moms can drive kids crazy. He's like, shoot, I got to get out of here. I got to get up in the weight room. I got to start working in. So it took 1 week for this man to get back in the weight room and start turning things around. And you know what? If he can help this team finally get over the hump, that'll be massive. And in the meantime, he doesn't even have to have another historic season to come and be named with some of the top 10 running backs of all time. Top 10 running backs of all time. He needs 1,300 yards. Now, 1,300 yards for your average starter, that's a stretch. Derrick Henry doesn't feel like a stretch. He almost just put up 2,000 yards last year. Almost put up 2,000 yards. What would it mean to him to get that 1,300 yards and be in the top 10 rushers of all time?
When you say something like that, it's just like it's a surreal moment to be able to have that opportunity and be in that conversation. God has blessed me tremendously, and since I was 5 years old, I fell in love with this game. And playing this position, I always looked up to great running backs who played this game at a high level, who are legends of the game, and dreaming of my name being mentioned with them one day. And for me to somewhat have the opportunity, it's so surreal. And God is so good. I've had a lot of people throughout my life to help me get to this point.
I mean, I can't imagine being the top 10 of anything in life in the entire history of your profession. You're the top 10. You're like one of the best currently, but top 10 all time. So when he says it would be a dream come true, because he said, I've loved this game since I was a little kid. I've loved this position since I was a little kid, the running back position. So here's where he stands right now. He's number 19 all time rushing with 11,423 yards. He can pass Steven Jackson probably in the first game. Yeah, definitely will pass Steven Jackson. He's number 19 right now. He'll pass Fred Taylor before we know it. Thurman Thomas, what a name. Franco Harris, Marcus Allen at 12,243. Edgerrin James, Marshall Faulk, Jim Brown at number 11, and then it's Tony Dorsett that currently is number 10. There he is with 12,739 yards. 1,300, he'll be top 10. And guys, he's signed through 2027. He's got 3 more years. When you start talking about what he can do over his career, where is this man going to end up? Top 5? Higher? Here's your top 10. Emmitt Smith at 18,355. That's crazy talk. Walton Payton, Frank Gore, Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, Curtis Martin, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jerome Bettis, Eric Dickerson, and I just said Tony Dorsett. He's talking about how that would be surreal, be massive for him. Of course, he wants to add a Super Bowl ring to that. Woo. Derrick is about to pass a lot of Hall of Famers, as Cameron Walker just pointed out in the chat. So why, from the Ravens' point of view, this almost seems like a dumb question. Why do they feel like Derrick Henry fits their identity? We all know that he's born to be a Raven. We all know that certain things just go together like peanut butter and jelly. Turkey on Thanksgiving. I see you, Bobby, in the chat. Like Bobby and his mustache just go together. Fries and a nice hamburger or steak. Those things go to well. Derrick Henry and the Ravens and the city of Baltimore, they just go together. Willie Taggart, Ravens running back coach, he was cracking me up. They were talking about working with him, and he's like, shoot, I just don't want to mess him up. He's like, I don't have to do a lot of coaching here. He can maybe focus a little bit more on Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell. some of the other guys that are up and coming, they got some undrafted guys. He's like, shoot, I just don't want to mess them up. But they ask him, obvious question, but he answered it really well. Why does Derrick Henry fit in so well in Baltimore? He says, quote, he fits our identity as an organization, and he fits Baltimore as a city and what the city stands for. And here we go. He says, when you watch the Ravens play, it's always to dominate the physical. And when you watch Derrick run, it's dominate the physical. And when you think about the city, we're dominating the physical. Everybody knows Baltimore doesn't play. I'm both talking about the team of the Baltimore Ravens, but I'm also talking about the city. Dominate the physical. Dominate the physical. I don't play in Baltimore. They don't play in Baltimore. You don't play with Derrick Henry. You don't play with the Ravens. It's all about being physical. Yeah. I love that answer from Willie Taggart. Okay. So then, obviously, he's asked about playing with Lamar Jackson. I mean, I'm sorry. These two are going to go down. If only they had a longer career together. But if Derrick Henry plays out his contract, they will have had 4 years together. We here in Baltimore will have been spoiled by having a backfield of Lamar Jackson, future Hall of Fame quarterback, and Derrick Henry, future Hall of Fame running back in the same backfield. I feel like we're living in history right now by having these two together. And we all know what the goal is. They know what the goal is. And at the same time, we got to enjoy this journey. So he's asked about playing with Lamar Jackson for the first time last year.
Yeah, I really enjoyed last season a lot, because like I said, I was in Tennessee for 8 years, and being able to play alongside a player like Lamar, best player in the league, it was just dynamic and a lot of fun. There's a lot of young guys on offense and on this team, so I feel like they give me youth and give me a lot of energy. And last year it was a lot of fun. We accomplished winning the division, got into the playoffs, but ultimately we came up short. So I mean, it's a lot of fuel that should go into this season. Guys should be motivated. I'm motivated and hungry to get ready for the next one.
Now, again, he's low-key in the way he says stuff. But just because he's low-key doesn't mean what he's saying isn't important, isn't a big deal. First of all, he's like, I really enjoyed last season a lot. I cannot tell you how many times he said how much fun he's had. How Lamar, playing with Lamar is fun. How playing with a bunch of youthful players is fun. Ravens have drafted a lot at these skill positions. A lot of up-and-coming talent. A lot of it. It's fun to be around them. He's like, I was in Tennessee for 8 years, and being able to play alongside Lamar, the best player in the league, he says, is a lot of fun. So the next question, and maybe, just maybe, Emmanuel Achos of the world and the Dan Orlovskis of the world, it would have been nice had they recognized what he's about to say here. When he was asked, did playing along Derrick Henry help you accomplish all that you accomplished last year? Career high in yards per carry, almost 2,000 yards. His second most raw yards total, most in per carry. And the King did not hesitate when he was asked if Lamar Jackson helped all that he was able to accomplish last year.
Definitely. I mean, he's just so dynamic. You got to count from.
He got cut off a little bit there. But he said, yeah, definitely. He's so dynamic.
Every single play and eyes are gonna be on him. Just by the player he is, with his arm and with his legs. And for me, that makes me happy. So I get more opportunities, and they gotta account for him just as much as they account for me. So it's fun playing alongside him and all these guys on offense, just playmakers all around. And I know he has a lot of fun. I mean, you guys see the highlights and the plays he make. these guys love playing for him, and I love being a teammate.
It was always so odd to me how commentators would say that Derrick Henry made Lamar Jackson better, and I'm sure that's true. I mean, great players make each other great, but it was rarely recognized the other way around. Like, what? When Derrick Henry signed with the Ravens last year, after being a free agent out of Tennessee, all anybody could talk about was how running backs hit a cliff after the age 30. And some people talked about how it just wouldn't be a fit. That's not how Derrick runs. Out of these, pistol formations or whatnot. He needs to get a couple yards to get, his legs going before he hits the line of scrimmage, all that kind of stuff. So much doubt when he signed with the Ravens. Well, if Tennessee's letting him go, he must be on his final leg, right? And then all of a sudden he has that historic year. And it's like, oh, but he only helped Lamar and not the other way around? Not the other way around? Didn't help each other? How many times did we see? It's the Steelers game especially. Steelers were like, their heads were spinning. To Derek's point there where he said they have to account for him just as much as they have to account for me. And when you account incorrectly or when you account for one, then the other one gets to have a day. So yeah, did Lamar Jackson help him accomplish what he did last year? Quote, yeah, definitely. He's just so dynamic. Why more people did not recognize that last year is beyond me. Absolutely beyond me. So speaking of that cliff that comes to most running backs after 30 years of age, and maybe that'll come this year. Maybe it'll come in 2026. Maybe it'll come in 2027. Maybe it won't come at all and he'll do another extension. Who knows? Who knows when that cliff will be? But what is he doing? What is he doing to make sure that it never happens? And this is just a mindset of greatness. You're like, this is like the opposite of somebody just sitting on the couch and doing nothing all day. What is he going to do to not hit the cliff? He says, well, I want to be great. So no matter how bad or good it is, I'm always focused on getting better. I think for you to be great, you have to be consistent. That's the key right there. Consistency is actually the hardest thing of anything. You can be great for a day or two. People will have New Year's resolutions in January and they'll be good for maybe a month. How many people are like, all right, I'm going to start eating well. I'm going to get back in the gym, or I'm going to be a better parent, or I'm going to be a better student, or, whatever your life is, I'm going to be better. And then maybe it'll last for like a month. Consistency, discipline, that's another level. And I think that Derrick Henry embodies discipline and consistency. I think for you to be great, you have to be consistent, he says. You have to outwork everybody. That's the approach every single day that I wake up. Or how about a day he never actually goes to sleep? Like today. Says he got about 30 minutes of sleep. So how many people would be like, you know what? My flight was messed up. I am exhausted. I've got a big day in front of me. I'm just going to catch a couple hours. Derek's like, not sacrificing the workout. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Don't care that the flight had issues. Do not care. And then just a couple more quotes here. Then I'll start looking at some of your guys' comments here. Got a couple of super chats to get to. Now, again, the whole thing for me was downplaying the historic contract and playing up how things ended last year. Because, he said I'm motivated, but he also said it should be plenty of fuel for everybody else in here too. Okay. Leader Derrick Henry wants to make sure I'm motivated. Are you guys as motivated as me? Are you guys as ticked off as I am? Here he is talking about you're only as good as your last game.
I always think I can do my job a lot better, than I did last season. And I think, the saying is, you're only as good as your last game. And I don't think my last game was up to par to my standard. I think when I'm in that position again, just play better. But right now, just focus on getting better, improving, getting stronger, working on my weaknesses, and improve the things that I'm good at to be able to help this team and be better than I was last year, just so we're better.
Okay, now he expands on his frustration of how it all ended.
You never get over it. I think you just deal with it, because that's just what it is. And when you get the opportunity again, try to make it a different outcome, especially on my part, and how I play. And I think everybody who's on this team feels that same way. But I think you got to put the work in for that to be able to happen. And then when we all here, push each other, hold each other accountable, and make each other better. So we on that field, it all comes together, and we all get what we want at the end of the day.
Pretty self-explanatory there. He's not satisfied. Not even at a contract extension was he going to celebrate. He is just not satisfied. Not satisfied. Not satisfied whatsoever. Let's get to your super chats. Get your thoughts here. Katie Ramey starting the day out with some generosity. Where are we at right now? I don't even know in terms of members. But Katie Ramey starting things off, gifted a membership to somebody. Let me know in the chat who that somebody was. Was it you? Lots of green, by the way, in the chat. A lot of members in here. Really appreciate the generosity. And apparently Bobby was in the chat earlier saying that the memberships are up to 252. Thank you so much for letting me know, Mike M there. Woo, 252 and growing. Douglas H.R. Brown Sr. is celebrating his two-month anniversary as a member, as a Voltron. And then Douglas H. Brown hooking us up with a $10 yellow super chat here. Great job, Sarah. We know we can always rely upon you. Well, you're going to be relying upon Bobby a lot in the month of June. I have to tell you, I've got a lot of travel plans. Lots of travel plans. I might be out almost half of the month. So Bobby's going to have my back for sure coming up in the month of June. You know that once school is out, we like to hit the road a little bit. We like to hit the road here in the Ellison household, which I can tell you more about once we get closer to that time. Yes, summertime, Sarah. Summertime, Sarah. That is true. Yeah. And it might extend a little bit into July and August. So no matter what, we'll make sure that we've got content here for you. But that is what we will be doing. Okay. Now, over the weekend, you probably saw this news that the Ravens finally addressed the run-stuffing defensive tackle position, a rather large void left by the massive and wonderful commentator on Ravens Wired all the time, Michael Pierce. We are going to miss him. I will forever. I love that one of his last memorable plays was his interception that he didn't want to make into a viral video. So instead of running, he quickly slid. But when a big man slides right away, that's also clickable and meme worthy. And so what a great one of the final plays he ever gave us. But Ravens were ranked number 1 last year in run defense. I think in part that was because of how good Michael Pierce and the rest of the defensive line was, for sure. But it also, I think in part, is because they were terrible at pass defense. And so they were like, why run? Why even try to run when we can just throw all over you, especially in the first 10 weeks of the season? But I digress. Nonetheless, we all thought the Ravens, especially with how deep the draft was, we all thought the Ravens would for sure in one of the 7 rounds, especially with the gazillion 6th-round picks, they for sure would come out with a run-stuffing defensive tackle. Eric DeCosta explained after the draft that there were a couple guys that they were targeting, but every time they went to get them, they would get picked a few times before them. But obviously it wasn't a big enough priority that they, maybe could have traded up, with the 11 picks that they had. They didn't do it. But nonetheless, here we are. And they have finally gotten somebody. And, I'm not going to say he's like going to put the Ravens over the hump into the Super Bowl, but I think he's a solid rotational guy. And a lot of times where you got to pay attention to is when Raiders fans come into the mentions, or when fans of the team that just let that free agent go, when they come in, you got to see, are they like, oh no, I wish that we held on to him, or our GM's an idiot, or they're like, don't get excited, Ravens fans, don't get excited. I'm telling you, he's going to ruin things. Well, this time around, a bunch of Raiders fans in the comments of the Ravens when they announced that they agreed to a 1-year deal with John Jenkins. John Jenkins. Raiders fans are in there being like, hey, listen, he was a solid rotational guy for us. And that's all the Ravens are looking for. That's all they need. That's all they need. So who is John Jenkins? Well, he's a 13-year vet. He's been around. He's played with 6 different teams, has moved more than that because sometimes he came back to teams. And I also think that's a good sign. When you leave and become a free agent again and the team that you had played with want you back, that happened 2 or 3 times for him, where he returned to teams that wanted him back. That's always a good sign. He is 35 years old, but he actually played a career high of snaps this last year. So he's 35. He's 6'3", 327 pounds. Okay. So he fits the bill. He fits the bill for what the Ravens are looking for. Here's what's great is Jenkins played 55% of the Raiders snaps last year. 55%. Ravens aren't even going to need him that much. Michael Pierce, he played 20% of snaps for the Ravens last year. That's what the Ravens are looking for, a rotational run stuffer. Look, they're Matabike and Travis Jones. These two are going to have it on lockdown. Matabike and Travis Jones, we hope, can put pressure on the quarterback too. But when it's an obvious running play, you come out first quarter, first down. A lot of times teams will run on 1st and 10. That's when you have John Jenkins in there. Go put this 327-pounder right there in the middle. Okay. John Jenkins had 21 run stops last year. 21. Okay. He's exactly what you need. He played in all 17 games. 34 last year. Career high 55 snaps. Played in all 17 games. And by the way, you can go back to his other 13 years, in the league. And he's pretty durable. He's been pretty durable even in his 30s. Okay. 1 sack, 42 tackles. Listen, you didn't go out and get him because you need sacks. You've got Matabike, you've got Travis Jones, you've got Broderick Washington, Peebles. Let's see what he can do. He's like the undersized defensive tackle that the Ravens got. He's really a joy to listen to at press conferences and all that. Then John Jenkins, he caps it off. He's the right player for the right price for the right position, the right role that the Ravens need. You want somebody that's going to be durable. You want to get somebody that's going to be good at exactly what you need him to do. You need somebody that knows what he's doing. You need somebody to plug, this hole for a year until you're able to actually go out and draft a younger guy that can be a run stuffer. But this is a passing league, and for the most part, the Ravens are stacked with guys that can get pressure. That's not his forte. That's not what they signed him for. Okay. If he's anywhere between 20 and 30% of the snaps, great. Exactly what the Ravens need. Okay. No reason to think any deeper than that. Okay. Now let's change gears here for a second. I want to catch up on what some of the Ravens players were doing over the weekend. So we're going to talk about Lamar Jackson back in his hometown. Mix it a little bit with some quarterback talk, okay? But after we finish what Lamar did over the weekend back in his hometown, I want to get into what some Ravens players were doing at Preakness, okay? So this is great. Lamar Jackson probably just made the life for some of these kids back in Florida. So what he did over the weekend was return to his home high school team, the Boynton Beach Tigers. Okay. Now, if we all remember, some of the first videos I've ever seen of Lamar Jackson was when he was a Tiger. Look at him in that purple. He's been in purple for so long. I know he went to Louisville, not purple, but I think it just is right that some of the first videos I've ever seen him in was in purple. And so he spent his last 2 years at Boynton Beach once he transferred over there. He threw, let's just recap real quick what he did in high school there in 2 years. In 2 years, he threw for 2,263 yards, 31 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. He also ran for 1,624 yards and 22 touchdowns. Lamar put up over 50 touchdowns in high school over those 2 years. And he was named the Lou Groza Palm Beach County High School Player of the Year in 2014. We're going to 2025 season, 2014. So, Boynton Beach Tigers, they're playing a spring game. And they're down 13-0 at halftime. And then here comes Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, Tigers alum. I can only imagine what it did for these kids. This is Najee Tobias on Instagram. Caught that he went on camera, that he went and talked to them at halftime. Now listen, we all know Lamar Jackson. He's not a rah-rah guy. This isn't a Ray Lewis type speech when he goes and talks to these kids. But he does it in Lamar's way, and he daps up almost everybody on the team. The audio wasn't great. It sounds like it was caught on somebody's phone or whatever. I try to, boom it up a little bit. But here he is talking to these kids at halftime.
How we down? How we down, y'all boys? I know Trey got y'all boys going crazy. Hey, it's the small details. All right, small details. Jumping off side. All right, plus the coverage. All right, we can win this game. We're going to win this game. Sure. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He ain't come out here for nothing. Offense, quarterback, start with you. Start with you. They do it. Lord. Oh, my God. Hey, fight on me. 1, 2, 3.
That's got to be great for them. That's got to be great for them. I like how when he was, he did speak, and what did he do? He went and looked for the quarterback. Points to him. He's like, hey, it all starts with you. Okay, so if you're wondering, did they come out with the comeback? Did the Tigers get inspired and win? No, they did not. No, they did not. They did not end up winning. I see the chat you're asking. They did not win. That would have been a much better story. That they're down 0-13. And then he comes in, and they're like, look at this. Lamar Jackson's watching me. I got to play great. In front of greatness. No. No, they did not go on and win. However, Lamar did later go out and threw what I am telling you was an absolute effortless 50-yard dime to one of these kids out here. Okay? I've got the video, just a minute, courtesy of Samantha Rosif Photography. Hopefully I got that right for Samantha. Looks like a photographer down there in the Florida area. Okay? So look at this kid with the white hat on, gray shirt, black shorts. Lamar is about to make his life. Could you imagine? I would like to. I'm a 45-year-old woman. I mean, I played football in my backyard with all, the neighborhood kids. Could you imagine if football is all you do? And Lamar Jackson shows up on the field and he's like, all right, you know what? Go out for a pass. Here we go. And I'm just going to just a flick of the wrist. Flick of the wrist. Like it's nothing going 50 yards.
What are you? Oh, Wes, welcome. He's live for real, boy.
In the bread basket. Like it's nothing. Here's what's funny. Did you guys catch that? I couldn't tell if it was Lamar yelling it or somebody in the background. So the kid that he's throwing it to is white. And so I couldn't tell if it was Lamar or somebody else that yelled at Wes Welker. You guys tell me, was it Lamar who yelled this?
What are you?
Just spin, run up and down. Do this. Taking off.
Oh, Wes, welcome.
Is that Lamar? Oh, that kind of sounds like Lamar.
Oh, Wes, welcome.
He said, "Oh, Wes Welker." Look at this. Look at little wind back. Like it's nothing. Watch this ball sail. Oh,
He's live for real, boy.
Fred, fast. Could you imagine if you were? I don't know his name. I bet that kid, the high schooler. I bet he is like the man on campus this Monday morning. Everybody in his school knows what just happened. I'm so glad he caught that. I am so glad he caught that. He tracked the ball. There we go. And Lamar obviously right on the money. And he caught it. And I bet his whole school is sharing that on the TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube, whatever. He's going to have that clip for the rest of his life. I don't know what else he's going to do. I don't know what else he's going to do in his career. But man, I am happy for him. I am happy for that kid. That's just so cool. That's just so cool. Lamar out there does what he does best. Oh, Wes Welker flicks it, 50-yard dime. He catches it. Good for him. I love to see Lamar back in the community. Love to see him back at his stomping grounds at his old high school. That is just great stuff from him. And let's just have a reminder. We know that Lamar was obviously underrated coming into the NFL. Ravens picking him up at number 32. Two-time MVP. Perpetually taking the Ravens to the playoffs. 305 Sports reminds us there were 28 quarterbacks ranked over Lamar Jackson in that 2015 class, and LJ was just a 3-star recruit. 3-star recruit. Can't define people too early in their lives. He was the number 12 ranked dual threat quarterback. So not just number 28 ranked overall, number 12 dual threat coming out of Boynton Beach. Completely underrated, and that just continues, which is why, and I don't always mean to go down these rabbit holes, that anybody that says, oh, he can never win the Super Bowl, just know the goalposts keep getting moved for Lamar Jackson. Transferring over to the school, 28 quarterbacks ahead of him, 3-star recruit, 11 dual threat quarterbacks ahead of him, goes to Louisville, just a Heisman Award winner and a finalist another year in a pro-style offense. He should switch positions, change him to wide receiver. Waits till the last pick of the first round of the draft, waiting all night with his mom there at the draft center. He's not going to make it to the NFL. He's not going to make it in the NFL. Takes over when Joe Flacco goes down his rookie year. A very mediocre Ravens team. Doesn't look like they're headed for the playoffs. Lamar comes in. I think they win like 7 of their last 8. Go straight to the playoffs. Oh, in the playoffs they lose. Chargers figured out the rookie. We've got the blueprint. 2019 MVP. Injured a couple times. 2023 MVP doing it more with his arm. 2024 MVP caliber should have had it. He keeps getting better in the playoffs. He keeps getting better. Keep trying to put limits on Lamar Jackson. Keep doing it. If you've been watching, you see he just keeps getting better in the playoffs. He's gonna break through. He's gonna break through. And when he does break through, he's probably going to be the highest paid quarterback again. Let me explain. Over the weekend, the 49ers and quarterback Brock Purdy, they struck up a new deal. It's the first time that he got a deal out of his rookie contract years. And listen, props to Brock Purdy. He was Mr. Irrelevant, correct? Correct? Certainly late getting picked up in the draft. And he turned that into a 5-year, $265 million contract. Good for him. This is a life-changing moment for him. He certainly has played over there in San Francisco well above anybody's expectations, well above anybody's expectations. He is now with his, let me see. He is paid $53 million per year with this new contract, which makes him tied for the 7th highest paid quarterback in terms of annual average salary. So that pushes Lamar, who just signed his contract, his new contract with the Ravens just over 2 years ago. This is how quickly the market changes. That puts Lamar at number 10 in the NFL with $52 million per year. Dak Prescott is number 1 on the list with $60 million per year, followed by Josh Allen, who actually just got a contract extension earlier this offseason. Joe Burrow is tied with him at $55 million. Trevor Lawrence is tied with them at $55 million. And Jordan Love is tied with them at $55 million. So 4 guys tied at number 2 behind Dak Prescott at $60 million. Then you got Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, then Brock Purdy, and Justin Herbert. You'll notice Patrick Mahomes isn't even on this list because he signed that $500 million deal, 10-year deal a while back. Pfft, boy, is that looking phenomenal for the Kansas City Chiefs right now. You got those headlines that he gets paid $500 million, and it's like, holy moly. But man, what a great deal for the Kansas City Chiefs because they knew that he'd be good for 10 more years. But I digress. Lamar Jackson, for sure, is going to do a contract extension either this season or next offseason. It has to be a next offseason. Ravens can't operate with the $75 million cap hit, which is what it's scheduled to be. And when he gets his new deal, he will be the highest paid quarterback once again. Now, Colin Cowherd talked about, I mentioned this when the schedules came out. I was saying how absolutely easy the 49ers schedule is. So Brock Purdy getting all this money, $53 million a year. He better come up with some wins because this is an easy schedule, and Colin Cowherd puts it in perspective and says what Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes would do with his schedule.
I've been a skeptic on the last couple of drafts for the San Francisco 49ers. I have said this, they're getting old and expensive. I don't like their offensive line. I thought this year's draft was a lot of hit and miss with 11 picks, 4 or 5 I liked, 5 or 6 I didn't. But they have the easiest NFL schedule, I'm not joking, since the 2015 Atlanta Falcons. And it's based on 2 metrics. Number 1 is last year's results. So they're playing a lot of teams that were bad last year. And the second metric is a lot of teams that are projected to be lousy this year. So on 2 different metrics, they've got the easiest schedule. Now, I will say this. If you gave Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Matt Stafford, Josh Allen this schedule, it is 13 to 14 wins. This is an affront to competitive football. And I don't want to hear $55 million Brock Purdy. I don't want to hear any excuses, or I don't want to hear any pom-poms when he wins 10 games with this mess of a schedule. San Francisco, not only is this schedule littered with mediocrity, they don't face a single team off a bye. Okay. Outside of Matt Stafford twice and CJ Stroud once, they don't face what people view as an elite quarterback. In fact, it's rookie quarterbacks, it's quarterbacks without 20 total starts. So I'm done with the Brock Purdy excuses.
It's well said. If you're going to get paid $53 million a year, you're going to be in the top 10. It's now time. Here's what's great about the 2 years following since Lamar Jackson signed his contract. We already knew this would be the case because historically he hasn't had great receiving cores. Once you start making that kind of money, you got to carry the team. You got to put that team on your back. We already saw Lamar doing that before he even signed his contract extension. And a lot of times guys will get paid and it's like, especially quarterbacks. And it's like, you can't play. Listen, we know how the quarterback market works, and whoever is in, like, if you're even in like the top 10 to 15 quarterbacks, you're going to be the next highest paid quarterback. That's just how it works. And so it's like, okay, you're going to start making that type of money. But can you do that on the field? You're not going to have money to go towards these weapons. You're not going to have as much money to go towards an offensive line. You're not going to have as much money for a defense. So a lot of times you'll see these guys get paid and then their teams just go downhill. We saw it in Baltimore with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was phenomenal in the Super Bowl. But as soon as he started making, money that was not on a rookie contract, it was just mediocrity for many years. Lamar Jackson, he signs a contract. 2023, he's in the 2-time MVP. 2024, he obviously could have won the MVP if he hadn't been robbed. 2 years since he's gotten paid, and all he's shown is, put this team on my shoulders. Yeah, I can handle putting this team on my back. Now, I'm happy they went out and got Derrick Henry. I'm happy that they finally started to get success with drafting at the wide receiver position, Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, both having solid, years. Zay Flowers having over 1,000 yards. Rashad Bateman having 9 touchdowns. You just added DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see what he is. He's also a little bit older. You've got a great tight end room. Had three new starters on the offensive line. Let's hope things are a little bit better next year. It ended better than it started for sure. But Lamar Jackson is worthy of real quarterback money. And he's got a tough schedule every year doing it because he's always 2 years in a row, they just won the AFC North. Toughest division in football over the last decade. We've got the stats to prove it. We've used it before. Shown it before. It is, without a doubt, it just doesn't feel like the toughest. It is. It has the highest win percentage outside of its own division over the last decade. Lamar, while playing other number one teams, while playing in the toughest division in football, justifies his contract and then some week in and week out. He's just got to finish in the playoffs. Just got to finish the playoffs, and he will. We'll see what Brock Purdy can do. He has overcome a lot of doubt, so you got to give him his props. His next hurdle is to do what Lamar's done. You start making money, and you still take your team to the playoffs. All right, some other things happening with the Ravens players over the weekend. A lot of guys went to Preakness over the weekend. Wasn't it journalism? Journalism, the horse won that? I didn't watch it. But look at this. This is courtesy of Hassan back again. He gets I follow him because I don't know how he's out there doing it, but he gets photos. He does it during the games. And here he is with all these Raven players at Preakness. I'll tell you who they are from left to right. Look at all these guys looking clean. Keaton Mitchell, who was just on the show over the draft weekend, followed by Isaiah Likely in all white. All of them have their chains on, except for Aeneas Peebles. He's got a bow tie on. Right there in the middle, big smile. Followed by second-round rookie Mike Green, who the Ravens would love to see to become the next dominant pass rusher. Followed by, look at him, Zay Flowers. Look at those glasses. Look at that chain, the cross, his watch. The future is bright with these guys. Isaiah Likely, you got to get him on a second contract. He's in his 4th year of his rookie contract. These are all a bunch of young up-and-comers. Look at all these guys drafted and undrafted in Keaton Mitchell. Hassan's got a few more photos here. Look at that with Zay. He's got Roquan Smith there. Look at those. Look at him. Is that like a light pink? Very light pink. Got those glasses on. And then Carmelo Anthony. Baltimore basketball legend. He put up on his Instagram a photo of him and the 2 rookies, Aeneas Peebles and Mike Green. I love seeing all these new up-and-coming guys enjoying Preakness, getting into that Baltimore tradition. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, quick. Let me get some super chats, and then we'll do quick hits. I've been asked to talk about the concurrence. Is Tila not in here? Because I'm seeing other people ask for concurrence. Is Tila caught the flu like Bobby? Where's my girl Tila? Tila, if you're out there. We're at just under 1,500 concurrents on this Monday afternoon. Okay. All right, where did we leave off? Here we go. Oh, let me take this down, and let's get to some super chats. Adam78. He writes, reported tomorrow on Wednesday, owners' meetings to vote on banning the Philly Tush Bush. I did see that. And to change playoff format. If the wild card team has a better record than the division winner, they get to host. Your thoughts? The Philly Tush Push, I don't think should be banned. I think the league will adjust, and if they want to stop it, especially people within the division, they're just going to have to get bigger, heavier people in there. They'll also have to come up with their own version of Philly Tush Push. But I think that just because somebody's successful at something, you shouldn't, ban it. I don't know what the injury implications are behind it. Do people get injured on it and all that? I'm sure they look into all of that, but no, I don't think you should. I don't think you should ban it, but I would like to see teams be better at stopping it. It's not fun to watch an automatic play from 1 yard out, unless you're Philly. But if everybody else starts to figure out how to do that, the Ravens have their own version with Mark Andrews, and that became pretty automatic. Not as automatic as the Eagles. But if everybody starts making it automatic, then like, okay, let's come back and chat again. If it just becomes an unstoppable play league wide, okay, let's chat again. But if it's just the Eagles, no, you got to stop them. Don't change the rules to stop them. You got to stop them. Now, in terms of changing the wild card format, I'm kind of torn on this, and it probably depends on like how the Ravens finish. It's definitely not fun when a better team has to play in the wild card, and because another team won its like horrible division that they get better seeding. That's not fun. But the flip side of that is it makes divisional play way more important. And I kind of like the rivalries that happen within divisions. And so that's why you'll hear the Ravens say all the time, the first goal, yeah, you win week to week. Then the second goal is you want to win your division. And so these heated and hated rivalries between the Ravens and Steelers and the Bengals, to me, the Bengals even more so now because they have a franchise quarterback. And then you have that Lamar versus Burrow type thing. And it's just like between the fan bases, you get more and more, heated between the two sides. And so I like the idea of making winning the division of pride, like a real point of pride. So I would probably keep it. Even though when it comes playoff time, if it so happens that a wild card team is better than one of the division winners, like that stinks. But I don't want to lose the element of playing up in these divisions. Just my thoughts on it. Mr. Johan Frizzle, thank you very much, has become a Voltron member. And look at this, Mike M. also being generous along with Katie Reamy from the top of the show. Mike M. gifted a membership to somebody. So congratulations to whoever that is. Mike and Katie, thank you for your generosity. And finally, David Scott with a $10 super chat. Thank you very much. He says, I'll be going to Baltimore for the Lions game for my first NFL game. The first ever. Nice. Any tips on places I should visit in the city? The chat could probably help you out with that better than me because I haven't been in Baltimore. I've moved 2018. How many years has it been now? About 7 years. But I always loved being in the Inner Harbor downtown, soaking that all in. Fed Hill, checking out the sights and views over there, going out to eat over there. I spent a lot of time in Canton at the time I was dating my now husband, and we were always in Canton, hitting up restaurants over there. So people are saying, don't go over west. Don't go to West Baltimore. Yeah. Some places can get dangerous. And so Tim let you know not to go over there. Tila, there's Tila. I was wondering if you were around here. Tila says, Sarah, come to Baltimore when Ravens have a ladies' night. Maybe could get that done. They usually do that in October, right in the middle of the school year, which is a little bit more tough. Sebastian saying go to Jimmy's Seafood for sure. Fed Hill, Fells, it's a good time for sure. Yep. So there are some options for you there, Mr. Scott. David Scott. Again, thank you for your super chat, which is just deciding to stay up there. There we go. Didn't want to come down. Appreciate you, David, and all those. Let's hit into some super chats, then close up. How I just don't understand when I'm solo. I still go an hour, but it's been a lot of content today. Check this out. The 33rd team put out this graphic over the weekend. The highest passer rating when targeted in 2024. So it's got a list of receivers and tight ends. What's the quarterback passer rating when it targets that tight end or wide receiver? They've got a top 10 here. Look who is number 1. Mark Andrews. I'm assuming it's Lamar Jackson's passer rating. Yeah, of course, because Lamar played all of 2024. I'm rechecking this. This is a 2024 list. Lamar Jackson had a 140.9 passer rating when targeting the All-Pro Mark Andrews. That's followed by Green Bay's Jaden Reed, San Francisco's George Kittle, Washington's Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. Then again, another Green Bay player, Tucker Kraft, Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown. This guy has been a just problem for the Ravens. Just a thorn in the Ravens' side. Pat Freiermuth at 126.1. And then you got another Raven, number 8, Rashad Bateman, giving Lamar a 125.9 passer rating, which is crazy considering how I think 3 of Lamar Jackson's 4 interceptions came while targeting Rashad Bateman. So I don't know how that all comes down. I don't know if they, I don't know how they credit that. Chris Godwin, number 9, and Jonnu Smith. Listen, Mark Andrews is coming back after clearly Eric DaCosta shopped him and obviously ended with a terrible game in Buffalo and hasn't had the best playoff numbers. There for sure, Mark Andrews will be productive. This is going to be the dilemma because I think Isaiah Likely can be productive. But I like this tight end room. I just like Isaiah Likely in crunch time. Big moments. Call on Isaiah Likely. He too is capable of being tight end 1. Obviously, Mark Andrews is capable of it, but in big moments, call Isaiah Likely. And speaking of Isaiah Likely, along with Rashad Bateman, can we talk about how the rest of the NFL just is not catching on to them still? The national outlets just not catching on. So 33rd team, again, over on the right-hand side of this graphic, they put this graphic about Stingley and Lassiter over in Houston, the Houston Texans. They put some notable receiver matchups. They got a lot. In week 5, they put Flowers and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know who's not catching on, the national media or the local media. Because here in the local media, we see Flowers, Bateman, then Hopkins number 3. He's filling the role of Nelson Aguilar. Will Hopkins be better than Aguilar? Yeah, I think so. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. But I still put him as number 3 behind Flowers and Rashad Bateman. The rest of the league sees it as Flowers and Hopkins. I get it. He's a huge name. He's done a lot in his career. But it's going to be Bateman and then Hopkins. That's national media versus local media. We'll see what Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson have to say about it. We'll see what goes down in these games. Meanwhile, just a reminder before, saw this graphic go out when Hopkins was first signed. Offensive playmakers, Lamar, Derrick, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins, no. Isaiah Likely, no. Rashad Bateman. For sure underrated. For sure underrated. And partly just because there are so many weapons. What a good problem to have. We'll take it all day long. Look at these two guys, Isaiah Likely and Rashad Bateman. Probably the two most overlooked skill position players by the national media. Okay, this was funny to me. Maybe it's just because I was covering the team when it came out. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see these faces. So somebody, let's make this bigger. Here we go. NFL Fashion Advice, whoever that is on Twitter, @FashionNFL, put out an old school photo from 10 years ago with a photo of the rookie premiere. A rookie premiere 10 years ago. Boy, oh boy, I remember seeing this photo when it first came out. There are 3 drafted Ravens in here, plus Nelson Aguilar. I've got them circled in purple. If you're a new fan, this will mean nothing to you. But 10 years ago, the Ravens drafted in the first round wide receiver Rashad Perriman. In the second round, tight end Max Williams. There were some people out there that were predicting Max Williams would be like a rookie of the year. That didn't come close to happening. He never really ever caught on. In fact, 2 swing and misses by the Ravens front office with those 2 draft picks. Oh my gosh, I still remember I was in the Ravens facility on Friday morning, afternoon. And as you know, the first round draft pick always comes in from Thursday night. They come in Friday for a press conference. And Rashad had taken the train down from New York to Baltimore with some of my coworkers. And I met him as he was in the lounge. You guys maybe listen to the Lounge podcast over from the Ravens. And I remember him being in there and I met him and he was like the shyest dude. So shy. Could hardly look you in the eye. And I was a little nervous from that point on. Because I was like, wide receivers need to have, it wasn't just like being humble and I don't really want to talk to you because who are you? It was like just straight up shy. And I was like, uh-oh. Max Williams never caught on. And then over there, I've got circled in purple there, a bright neon purple. That's Buck Williams, running back. He also never really caught on. Nelson Aguilar right there I've got because he's a former Raven. Number 17 is the Eagles. Who else is in here? Stephon Diggs. That was a swing and a home run, not in a swing and a miss. Got Tyler Lockett, you see down there with the Seahawks. How about in the same row as Buck Williams, because they got a lot of running backs. Over to the left. Todd Gurley in that Rams. Melvin Gordon. Is that Amari Cooper? Look at Amari Cooper, number 89, Raiders jersey. Same row as Buck Williams. And probably my favorite quarterback in the NFL besides Lamar Jackson, Jameis Winston. Why do I love that man so much? We all love him, right? He is just a trip to listen to. I would love for him to be in Baltimore. Love it. Have him backing up Lamar. Press conferences would be an absolute, I would have my popcorn out every time he would go to podium. Every time. What a look back. What a look back. All right, guys. That's the end of my quick hits. And that brings us to the end of the show. I'm going to have to check in on Bobby soon enough. Check in on him, see how he's doing. But a shout out to him for helping me on the back end, fighting through the illness, fighting through the sickness. I listened to him. I heard his voice. He did not sound good. He did not sound radio voice ready, podcast, YouTube. So really appreciate him though. Getting out of bed, helping me out. It was one of those days when you're trying to turn it around from a press conference. We usually start at noon. And then you got to turn this around for 1 o'clock. Yeah, I appreciate him getting together some of those audio clips for me. So there we go. Derrick Henry locked in. He is so not satisfied, ready to work, ready to work. It's got to be the year. He and Lamar, great duo. Lamar going back to Boynton Beach, just given his time, making the lives of some of these high schoolers, all these guys at Preakness. It's a great day. It's a great day. So, I almost forgot. The patrons. Hold up. Let me go find this. Bobby got this ready for me too. Want to thank Michael D55 and Lucid Valor, 2 of our patrons that support us monthly. Give a shout out to you guys. Thank you for supporting us and all that we do here inside the vault and everything that we are building. Really appreciate that. If you guys want to become a patron also, you can check out the link in the show notes. Click on that, become a patron. Or, of course, you can become a member here inside of YouTube and on the vault, become a Voltron. And Tila, we are here with just under 1,500 concurrents. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. We will be back tomorrow. Maybe it'll be another solo Saturday, or maybe Bobby will come back from the dead. Either way, the vault will be here for you tomorrow at 12 o'clock this time. There's no press conference scheduled for the same time, so we will not be pushing it back to 1:15. Talk to you guys then. Much love. Appreciate you.